If you have spent any time looking at Ireland itineraries online, it probably only took a few clicks before you noticed something. Different websites, different tour companies, different custom operators, and yet somehow the trips visited the same places, in the same order, and at the same pace. Today, I want to tell you why that happens. And to understand it, you have to look at how Ireland was first packaged, not as a place to go and linger, but as a place to move people through from point to point. Now, this actually goes back nearly a century. In the early 1900s, Ireland didn't have the tourism industry in the way that we think of it today. What it did have was rail, and not long after that, buses. In the 1930s, Chorus Imper Éireann, or what we now know as CIE tours, began offering some of Ireland's first organized touring routes. So these weren't vacations like we think of them today. They were more like logistical solutions. Where can we get people using what we have, the trains and the buses? So the questions weren't, what do travelers want to linger over? They were more along the lines of, how do you move people efficiently? How do you show them the country using the infrastructure that we have? And how do you make it work for most people most of the time? And those early decisions from the 1930s did exactly what they were meant to do. They worked. The problem is that they worked so well that the bones of those, the transportation points are still the same ones that are used today. Because once those routes were established, certain places became natural stops, not necessarily because they were the only places worth seeing, but because they sat very neatly along the pathways that were available. So the route between the cliffs of Moher and Killarney, for example, passed through Adair, easy to reach, easy to pause in, and over time has become known as one of Ireland's prettiest villages. Dublin to Galway became hubs as well. They're directly connected by rail and then later by bus, and they just were very logical anchor points for moving people east to west. Now, some stops along these tours were already famous before CIE and organized tours existed. The Cliffs of Moher had been a beauty spot since Cornelius O'Brien built his tower there in the 1830s, complete with social gatherings right there on the edge of the cliff. Viewpoints like the Ladies' View in Killarney entered the spotlight after Queen Victoria's visit in 1861, when her ladies in waiting admired that view outside of town that looked over the lakes. Now, none of these places became popular by accident, but once they were folded into early touring routes, they stayed there, passed down, used, and repeated. And once those kind of became the template, they didn't just shape bus tours. They shaped what Ireland was known for. The places along those early touring routes became the Ireland that was photographed, written about, and talked about around the world. Over time, they went from being just stops on a route to the places that people associated with Ireland itself. They became the must-see spots and the I haven't really been to Ireland if I didn't see this location. And that's why even today, the majority of visitors to Ireland follow the same general routes and the same framework that has been in place for generations. If you've listened to very many of my podcasts, you know that I love introducing you to small businesses and places that sit off of the main tourist trail. It doesn't mean that I don't love the well-known sites, because I do. But I genuinely believe the best Ireland vacations include a mix of both. And after years of traveling through Ireland, I've also learned this. There are many places where you can have a very similar experience to a well-known spot, without the crowds, without circumnavigating the entire country, and without sacrificing the experience of Ireland just to fit everything in. And that is exactly why I created the Ireland Travel Compass. It's built around a 5-step process that teaches you how to plan an Ireland vacation that is actually yours, not just a rearranged version of the same inherited route. Instead of starting with where does everyone go, it starts with how you want to experience Ireland and then guides you to build your trip around that, concentrating on smaller regions, less driving, deeper experiences, and more time actually enjoying where you are and not worrying about where you're going next. Along with that process, the compass includes a travel planning map with more than 300 planning points across the country. You'll find castles you can visit, castles you can stay in, historic sites, accommodations, dining and tour recommendations, and activities that cover history, heritage, and animal adventures. And I want to be really clear about this. Every recommendation inside the compass is based on my own travel experience and years of working one-on-one with clients to plan amazing individual Ireland vacations. There are also in-depth planning extensions that let you dig into specific areas, so you're not just skimming the surface or racing through regions that might deserve more of your time. The Ireland Travel Compass isn't for people who want to see everything, unless you plan to visit multiple times. It's perfect for DIY planners who appreciate expert guidance, for travelers who want a slower, more personal experience, and for families or groups who don't want to spend their entire trip packing, unpacking, and moving from place to place. If you want an Ireland trip that feels intentional instead of inherited, you can learn more about the Ireland Travel Compass at irelandfamilyvacations.com/compass. It's $97 for 1 year of access, and it's designed to help you plan with confidence without turning your Ireland vacation into a checklist. I would love to have you take a peek at what's included. You're going to find the course outline at irelandfamilyvacations.com/compass. Take a look at it and decide if it's right for you and your trip. And if you have any questions, just reach out. I'm happy to answer them. You can reach me at Jody, Jody, at irelandfamilyvacations.com. I hope you'll take a look at it. I'd love to have you utilize my expertise for your trip. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, Slán go fóill.